Managing the Active Directory domain services environment is one of the most common tasks that an IT professional will perform. And in fact, because there is so much to be done when it comes to managing Active Directory, it's important that you sometimes make the wise decision to delegate some of that administration out to others. So what I want to do here is jump onto one of our domain controllers and show you how you can delegate permissions over certain Active Directory objects out to other administrators. For this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and connect with DC1. Here in the Server Manager on DC1, I'm going to go ahead and go up to the Tools menu and then select Active Directory Users and Computers. Now, a couple things I want to show you real fast that I've done to the system is if I expand my land and hotel domain and then I click on the users container, I want you to see that I've added an additional user called Junior Admin. All right, so this is an administrator who I want to go ahead and give certain delegated tasks to. Another thing that I've also done is I created an organizational unit container for customer service. And inside of customer service, you'll see that I've created 3 customer service users. So the idea here is, let's say that we have a situation where we want to allow the junior admin to have control over the customer service department. Well, there's some things that I'd like you to see. First of all, if I go back to the users container, I want you to see that there are a number of built-in security groups which give certain privileges inherently. Okay, like one of the most commonly known groups would be the domain admins. And this is the designated administrators of the domain. If I wanted to give junior admin the ability to administrate objects in the domain, I could just simply go to the junior admin account and I could go into the member of tab and add domain, and I'll just click check name so I get a list here. There's domain admins. I could make junior admin a domain admin, but I don't want to do that. And the reason I don't want to do that, let me remove that group. There we go. The reason I don't want to do that is because you want to always do things on the principle of least privilege. In other words, just because somebody needs some level of administrative control, you don't want to give them complete administrative control. Now, the next thing we could do is any object in Active Directory has security permissions. Right? So if I look at the customer service container, if I right-click and go to its properties, you'll see a security tab. You see it right here? You don't see that invisible security tab? Well, there's a reason for that. Let me go ahead and click on cancel. I want to show you that by default, the security tab does not exist. If I go up to the view menu and then I select advanced features, you'll see here that my list inside Land and Hotel just became a lot longer because there's a lot of hidden stuff. And part of the hidden stuff is if I go back to the properties now of customer service, there you go. Now you can see that security tab that was previously invisible. And the point behind this tab is to show you that we can go ahead and we can give permissions to specific users over this object, right? So I could go ahead and I could add, and I'm going to do that here. I'm going to add junior, check names. There's junior admin. And for junior admin, I could give junior admin full control over the objects in that container, for instance. Or maybe we're only going to give junior admin the ability to read and write, or maybe even only read objects, or maybe create a child object or delete an object. Or there are some other things that we can do. And in fact, if I click on advanced, you can see here that if I go into, well, junior admin's listed for each item, but let's just pick one and edit just so you can see that junior admin, there's a very detailed list here. It's quite lengthy. I'm not expecting you to read this, but it's a very lengthy list where we can go in and check very specific boxes as to what junior admin can or cannot do here. Now let me cancel out of here. And in fact, let me remove junior admin. All right. So we haven't changed anything. I will also say that if we're going to go up to the view menu here, let's get rid of advanced features. Okay, so we can no longer see the security tab, because I want to show you that the reason that that tab is not there by default is because traditionally you don't go in and manually assign permissions that way. The way permissions are typically assigned is by right-clicking on the container that you want to assign permissions to, and then you select Delegate Control. You'll notice there, even though I'm not looking at the advanced view, so I will click on Delegate Control. This takes me into the Delegation of Control wizard, where I will click Next, and it says, select one or more users or groups whom you want to delegate control. In other words, who do I want to give control to? So this is where I would come in here and say, well, I want to give control to junior admin. Then from there, it says, well, what is it that you want to allow junior admin to do with this particular container? So let's say that junior admin, we want this particular user to be able to create, delete, and manage user accounts, or maybe reset user passwords. That's a real common one. In fact, I'm going to check that box saying reset user passwords. And then you'll see the list goes on and on with very common tasks that you might want to delegate out to that administrator. Now, the reason I selected reset user passwords is I want to give you an example of, let's say that that's specifically what we want junior admin to do. We don't want junior admin to be actually creating new accounts for new users in customer service. That's something I still want the domain administrator doing. We don't want the junior admin actually monkeying around with those accounts. But if we have a user who has forgotten their password or they've been locked out or whatever, we want to go ahead and allow junior admin to take care of that for the user. So I will click on Next and Finish. And now junior admin would be able to come in here. There's one main thing junior admin can do, and that is if a user was to have forgotten their password, junior admin could right-click and select Reset Password. That's basically the one permission that we've just given junior admin to do, and we haven't done it for the entire domain. We did it just for the users in the customer service container. All right, so I also want to tell you that this is a somewhat common thing to do, and in fact, I worked in an organization where we specifically did this in the customer service department, but it wasn't a junior admin that we did it for. What we actually did is, let me come over here. I'm going to right click and select new user. Now, I'll teach you about creating user accounts in a different video, but let's just call this customer service manager. All right, so we'll say CS manager, and we'll do a quick password here. And since this is not a real environment, I'm going to say the password never expires and finish. What we did in our environment was we made it for something as simple as resetting passwords. We didn't even want users in a big call center like customer service to have to call in to help desk if they forgot their passwords, which, by the way, in this particular company, our customer service people forgot their passwords all the time, especially on Mondays. And even more so if it was Monday after they took a week's vacation. I don't know what it is, but this particular group, they always forgot their passwords, and they were inundating help desk with calls. Well, we didn't even want help desk called anymore because help desk has to go through a process of validating who the person is, making sure that there's no social engineering going on, things like that. Whereas if they had to go to their own manager, and then this particular company, we actually had in the customer service department, we actually had a customer service manager or lead for every 10 to 15 users. And obviously, the customer service manager knows those people personally. So what Robin would have to do if Robin forgot their password is Robin would have to go to her manager and say, hey, I forgot my password. And the customer service manager was able to then reset the password for the users in their own department. All right. And again, we did it the same way. We just went to the customer service container, said delegate control. We went ahead and added and said, let's actually do CS manager. That should work. There we go. Customer service manager. Okay. Again, reset passwords, finish. Now the customer service manager had the ability to come in here and do this. But let's take this a step further, because is the customer service manager going to have this tool at their disposal to reset the passwords? No, they probably will not. So what we did was for each customer service manager, we went ahead, we created their own custom Microsoft Management Console. So in this custom MMC, I'm going to go up to File, Add, Remove Snap-in. We're going to do Active Directory users and computers. From there, I'm going to expand this down to Customer Service, right-click, select New Window from here. And it's a little bit confusing, but if I take this lower window here, see I have these two windows in here, so I'm going to close that window, maximize this one. So all I'm looking at is the customer service team, and that's it. And then I could save this tool specifically to each customer service manager's machine, and then they would have a tool where they could come in and they could right-click and reset password for any of their users. Now, I will add one more quick thing in case that's not easy enough, because trust me, we did have some customer service managers who pushed back and said that's too confusing. I right-click, and I created what's called a TaskPad view. And I'll click Next, and we'll do a vertical list that's fine. We'll leave everything fine here as far as the default. Selected tree item, and we're going to call this Reset Passwords. Next, we'll add a task to the TaskPad. It is a menu command. The command is going to be Reset Password. Just give it an icon. We'll say keys. And finish. Now, when the customer service manager clicks on one of their users, so Robin has forgotten her password, you get a little link here that says reset password. Can't miss it. Nice and easy. And in fact, we can even take this a step further. We have the ability to go in and just kind of get rid of everything here. And now all we see is this. How's that for a pretty cool tool if you're going to go ahead and delegate administration to somebody who maybe isn't a full-blown administrator, especially something like a customer service manager who's not typically trained in IT at all. All right, we delegated permission, we created a custom tool, and even created a view in that tool that is so user-friendly that pretty much anybody could do it. You just click on a user, reset password. And that's how we can delegate control out to other people to help us manage our Active Directory domain services infrastructure.